2024 is ending, which means it's time to start the awards coverage for the movie season this year. Every Monday from here until Oscar Sunday, we'll be performing some type of Oscar coverage on the channel. So like and subscribe if you like the type of content. And for here, I think we have an amazing wide open field of a lot of contenders and who could win the Oscar, but also a lot of contenders who could get nominated. So go ahead and sit back, like, subscribe if you can, and let's talk about the Oscar race for Best Picture today. We are going to be splitting up our Oscar Best Picture candidates into 4 categories. I think right now there are 6 clear frontrunners, all movies that are guaranteed Oscar locks, as well as movies I think you can make arguments for being Best Picture. We'll go over a little bit on what they have special and what type of categories they might get nominations in, and then, go through that. We then have the first 4 in. These are movies that I think right now are on the inside that I would predict today, but they're more on the bubble, and if the award season doesn't go their way or something else happens, they can find themselves on the outside looking in at Best Picture nomination come January. The third batch of movies here are going to be my first 4 out. These are the first 4 movies I think that are lining up for Oscar contention. If things go right, if the Oscar body tends to like their work, they may find their way into that 9 or 10 spot, where right now I think most people would predict them on the outside. And finally, we have 4 long shots that I don't see really having a major chance of getting a nomination, but if they were to pop up, I don't know if it'd be all that surprising. They're definitely long shots to get nominations, but they're movies worth talking about right now. But as we go through each category, it'll always be in alphabetical order, and we're going to start with our frontrunners with Anora. Anora is a movie led by Mikey Madison in an amazing role that's going to have a lot of play in both screenplay and acting categories, as well as directing, in my opinion. Anora is a great mix of comedy and drama, and it takes you on this adventure of our main character, Anora, as she tries to take what feels like life is giving her, a golden goose opportunity, but it turns out not all is right. This movie is a lot of people's favorite right now, and it's definitely one that's going to be in the nomination pool come nomination time. The next movie on my list I haven't had a chance to see yet, but it's The Brutalist. This over 3.5 hour epic is a movie that is well crafted, is going to be seeing play in both the screenplay categories, going to be seeing play in lead actor, and supporting actress. Adrian Brody is probably the favorite at today's moment to win Best Actor. Cinematography is going to be a big player for The Brutalist, as well as editing, in my opinion. I think this movie will be a big contender, and we'll see where it lands in terms of Best Picture, but it is for sure a frontrunner and a lock for a nomination. Next up is going to be Conclave. This Edward Berger-directed film stars Ray Fiennes in the leading role in deciding the next pope. A political thriller, Conclave is going to see, I think, a lot of action in both score, cinematography, production design, costume and makeup. It's going to get a lead actor nomination, going to be a big screenplay nomination, as well as outside shots in editing and director. This is a movie that I think is playing very well right now and has a chance to be a surprise winner come Oscar Sunday, but it is clearly going to be a Best Picture nomination and one of the frontrunners to win this year. What may be the weakest frontrunner of the year, Dune Part 2 is for sure getting a nomination. Its director, Denis Villeneuve, is wondering if he's going to get in for the Best Director category he missed for the first Dune. But overall, you're going to see a lot of play in this in the crafts category. Costume, makeup, cinematography, sound design, visual effects. Dune is going to play up big there, and those are a lot of those categories and a lot of support that can lead Dune to an Oscar win down the line potentially. This is a lot of people's favorite movie of the year, and is one that will definitely be in the Best Picture nominees, and is probably the end of the frontrunners, but one that I have to put in here as a guarantee to make Oscar Sunday nominations. Emilia Perez may be the most controversial movie. Jacques Audiard is film on Netflix is either loved or hated. The craftsmanship is likely to get nominated in a lot of different areas, whether it be cinematography, editing, production design, outside shots at costume design, as well as a good contender in song categories. Zoe Saldana and Carla Gascon are the two leaders in actress categories. The Selena Gomez could play a surprise, and I don't know if the screenplay is going to work fully, but the director himself is going to get nominated for Best Director, in my opinion, and this movie is an industry favorite right now. I know there's a lot of people who aren't a big fan of Emilia Perez, but there's no question that it's going to be nominated for Best Picture, and it's going to be a serious contender for winning Best Picture come Oscar Sunday. Finally, a musical that seems more positively reviewed by the public, Wicked. John Chu might not be getting in for Best Director, but Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo feel like locks for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. The songs in this movie are very engaging. The overall production design is probably leading for that category, and don't be surprised to see this movie pop up in hairstyling and costumes, as well as makeup. I think Wicked is a strong player. It has a lot of people in the movie space very happy right now, and it's definitely something that I think is a contender for Best Picture. Maybe it'll get screenplay nominations, we'll have to see. Maybe it'll get editing nominations. There's some loose options for cinematography, but Wicked fever has definitely hit at the beginning of this month. Maybe it's cooling down a bit, but come Oscar Sunday, will we be singing that Wicked is popular? Or will its time in the spotlight be more like a Barbie? But it will be there as Best Nominee for Oscar Sunday. Moving into our first four in. The first movie we're going to talk about is A Complete Unknown, starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. This movie is also seeing some acting play from Edward Norton in the supporting role, and is just overall seemed like a very positive film. Timmy Shee is probably the next big candidate for Best Actor, but the movie doesn't have the best positive reviews overall. Will it be able to sneak in as one of the last movies in? We'll have to see, but right now, I think off the back of Chalamet's big performance, as well as kind of the hype around it being a musical biopic, I think A Complete Unknown is going to find its way in the Best Picture 10. Nickel Boys is definitely going to be a player, in my opinion, from both a screenplay standpoint, a director standpoint, a cinematography standpoint, and maybe all of that together will help lead it into a Best Picture standpoint. Anjanou Ellis Taylor may get in for Best Supporting Actress, but Nickel Boys is very experimental with its camera work and overall movie structure. I think this one's going to sneak in with a lot of support for its experimental design and the love of craftsmanship, but is one that could get forgotten if another movie moves up towards that top 10 and gets itself out. Sing Sing, what I thought would be a clear frontrunner this season, has become almost a lost puppy for A24. Coleman Domingo seems to be a lock for Best Actor. Clarence Backlund may be in contention for Best Supporting Actor, but everything else about Sing Sing right now seems to be in life support. The movie missed that Golden Globes, it didn't get that many nominations at Critics' Choice, and it really needs a big shot of rejuvenation from A24. I think it won't get forgotten too much by the Academy voting body, but if I am A24, if I'm anybody behind Sing Sing, I'm really worried that this movie can get bumped out for another late surging contender in the Oscar season. But this is a movie that once it makes the top 10, it could make a deep run once more people watch it again. But until it gets that 10th nomination, it is in struggle territory. It is my bubble movie at the current moment, number 10. Finally, another strong movie in here that is moving up more and more as the weeks go on is The Substance. It's going to have a big play in a lot of different categories, whether it be makeup and hairstyling. It's shortlisted for visual effects. Obviously, Demi Moore is going to be in for Best Actress, in my opinion, and Margaret Qualley is showing up everywhere in Supporting Actress. It has a solid screenplay, winning the screenplay at the Cannes Film Festival, and director Coralie Fagot is seeing a lot of play in different places, and she could be a spoiler in a nomination scenario for the Best Director at the Oscars. What seems like a body horror would never be able to get into the top 10, The Substance seems to have a lot of staying power across the Academy, and for me, is finding its way closer and closer to that frontrunner category as time moves on. I say it's pretty solidly in my first 4 in, and it has a real shot to overtake some movies like Dune Part 2 in becoming a frontrunner as time moves on. In my first 4 out, going in alphabetical order, we have Challengers. Challengers is a movie that's going to see play in a couple categories besides Best Picture, and that is Best Cinematography, Best Score, and Best Original Screenplay. And if it's able to get into multiple of those categories, it could maybe be a spoiler and pop its way into the top 10 overall. It's a movie that's popped up for both Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, getting it back in that conversation, which is so important for a movie that was well received at the beginning of the year, but obviously could easily be forgotten as time moves on. I think this is one of my lower ends for first 4 outs here, but I will not be surprised if there's a Challenger hype train coming, and if it's able to do well in some categories like screenplay and score and cinematography, it can get enough love to beat out maybe a Sing Sing or even a Nickel Boys to get into that top 10 overall. But time will tell if Challengers has that life. Nosferatu, another movie I haven't seen yet, is hitting theaters this week coming up. And another horror movie challenging to be in Best Picture. This is Robert Eggers' best chance, in my opinion, to actually get in there. Mainly because of timing, but also because it's going to be up for a lot of crafty categories like, costume design, hair and makeup, and just overall, cinematography. If Nosferatu could get a lot of plays in there, and if people really connect to Eggers' style here, there's an outside shot this could spoil and have a big, big surge come holiday season into the top 10. Its biggest competition is probably The Substance taking up its slot, and I don't know if it has a chance to beat The Substance out. But again, as those craft categories pile up and it's named more and more, there's always a chance for Nosferatu to make its way into the top 10. A Real Pain is mainly going to have 2 big category plays for me this year, and that's going to be original screenplay as well as Kieran Culkin as supporting actor. This was a completely enjoyable movie, but I do think in terms of overall scope and what the message being given, I think it's losing itself compared to other top contenders. Jesse Eisenberg is great as a scriptwriter and a director and a actor in this movie, but when you look at the 10 movies that are in, it's going to have to get a lot of passion behind it, and there's not saying that they can't have a lot of passion. I think it still has a chance to sneak its way in. This is probably my first movie out at the moment if I had to name one, but it is on the border right now, and I don't know if I actually see it making its way into the top 10. I think it only loses momentum as time goes on. Finally, there's September 5. This movie was another political thriller, in a lot of ways felt like it's hitting a lot of notes for Best Picture nominees. It has great editing throughout, it has a pretty solid score in my personal opinion, and while there's no acting performance that jumps out in a lead category or in a nomination category, it's an overall well-received cast. This movie, though, is going to need a lot more momentum and a lot more word of mouth being built to push it into that top 10, and maybe now that it's starting to be trickled out, released into the public moving into holiday season, there's a chance it can make a lot of waves. But the worry for September 5 is without any strong lead performances, with having a kind of more basic screenplay in my opinion, and not really pushing out any craft categories, it's going to have to get in over just quality alone, and there's just a lot of quality movies in that top 10. I think for me, this is probably my 12th or 13th ranked movie at the moment. It's not one of my first one out, but it's right there at the door. It surprised everybody by getting in over Sing Sing at the Golden Globe nomination, so it still has a chance, but it's definitely struggling to pick up its momentum and move forward into the Best Picture category. Finally, we are talking about 4 long shots. And for me, starting out with a long shot is All We Imagine as Light. This foreign film picked up a lot of nominations at the Golden Globes, and it has it's a movie I haven't seen yet, but it talks, it's from India, and it has a pretty strong base. There's a chance that if the international community gets behind this, it can be kind of like a Zone of Interest or Anatomy of a Fall last year and sneak in over movies like, say, A Complete Unknown or Sing Sing. I think another movie that is very much like that is Seed of the Sacred Fig. This movie is kind of focused towards the Middle East with Tehran, and it's another movie that has a lot of nominations. It's another movie that's done very well in the international category. If it gets the right international support, it's a long shot, but it could find its way into the top 10, taking out maybe a Sing Sing, taking out maybe A Complete Unknown, Nickel Boys, The Substance. It could, these international films, they feel like long shots, and unlike last year with Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall, none of them are really showing up in concrete things, except for All We Imagine Is Light, with Best Director in the Golden Globes category. But we'll have to see if any of these start picking up steam as we get into more award nominations and award wins across the U.S. Another foreign film, The Room Next Door, is a movie that I think is really good, great quality. I think it might have a play at screenplay in terms of a nomination, but it's not having any type of momentum to be able to get itself into the picture. Tilda Swinton does a great job in this movie, and in most years, maybe this is able to sneak in, but since everything seems so wide range for frontrunners, this more quiet, much more artsy movie is going to be kind of struggling to get past, say, something like A Real Pain, which I think fits that same bill. Finally, my last long shot, a movie I think has no chance, but its first movie won Best Picture, and that is Gladiator 2. If we get a weird out-of-nowhere Gladiator love fest from the Academy, we can see Denzel Washington nominated, we can see it nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, maybe even Best Score. It can get Best Director. Again, if it's a Gladiator love fest, all of this is long shot. I don't think this movie has a chance at actually getting in. This movie is probably the furthest one of all the movies I thought of that could get in. But because it's coming, off of a sequel of a Best Picture winner, there's always a chance that the Gladiator fans can roll through and maybe get in over something like A Complete Unknown or Nickel Boys or The Substance if it has that big of a fan base. My problem is I think it's going to be eating too much into people like Dune Part 2 and even maybe September 5 also from Paramount, but it's going to have a long road ahead of us. But that's going to be it for today. That is my category of Oscar contenders. Tell me in the comments down below, who are your frontrunners right now? And what are the movies you think are on the bubble? And what movie is going to be the biggest surprise for award season? But I can't wait till next week when we go over Best Director category. And again, if you like this content, like and subscribe to the channel here. And we do more with TV shows and movie reviews and sports type stuff. So I appreciate anybody coming along with this journey for award season. But until next time, I'll see you in the comments, and I hope you have a great day.